Rhodes Media.
Aye. We'll talk about it. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button as well. Thank you all so much. I greatly appreciate it. Also, we are here on YouTube with memberships now. $4.99 a month gets you access to Coffee with Broads, which is every Monday and Thursday at 11 a.m. Information is down below in the description. Don't forget the Discord channel link is also available for you if you join the membership. And lastly, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, all your podcasting platforms. Search Sports Talk with Bros. Leave a 5-star rating and a review. I love you guys to death. Thank you all so much. Enjoy the show. Yo, what's going on, fellas? My sleep schedule is so fucked up right now. We are recording at bizarre hours, but it is what it is. I'm a little disappointed in what I watched in San Francisco in Game 1. It was so sloppy. Bohm is regressing and having all these ridiculous errors that need to be cleaned up. Whit Merrifield has been in this game way too long to be missing routine pop-ups over at second base. Players don't even know where to throw the ball anymore from the outfield. So it was annoying. I could live with how they lost against Colorado, and I could live with maybe just their starters get beat up a tad. Ranger Suarez couldn't find the strike zone, wasn't as precise as we are accustomed to seeing. 4 walk batters, 4 earned runs, but I gave them a lot of love, right? Because him and Nola both were able to complete 6 innings, and that's very valuable considering the manager told us that he has a full bullpen because of what Ranger was able to do. So you gave us the knowledge that you have a ton of availability in your pen. So why did Taijuan Walker continue to go out there? It's okay to ask your 1, 2, and 3 Wheeler, Nola, Ranger to try and maneuver through sticky situations, but you're number 5? You're number 5? He is what he is. And I've been a big defender of Taijuan Walker when it comes to the masses and the fan base, but at this particular time, I'm annoyed with him. Look, I'm a day-to-day guy. Part of the reason why I love baseball so much is because you get to ride this wave that is unlike any other sport. There's 17 football games. There's 82 in hockey and basketball. When you get this 162, it's crazy. You could win 37 of 51. And then I could see some hideous baseball and somewhat lose my mind a bit without losing sight of the fact that they're great. I know they're great. I know they're an elite team. I know they're a juggernaut. I know they're beautiful, but it doesn't make the moment any better that I have to watch slop when it is this controllable. Errors, poor defense, that's a controllable. And we'll play the audio of Alec Bohm post-game standing in front of his locker because he had some interesting things to say about what went wrong over there at third base, and I want to pick that apart. But I just got done a radio show, and my question to the people was, how do you individually handle a loss like we witnessed in San Francisco when you absorb all the great baseball that we've seen, when we haven't seen a series lost since the beginning of April, and then they fall on their face a tad? Do you just go ho-hum? Who cares? They can't win in San Francisco anyway, and they were due to have a bad West Coast swing, and they could turn it back around the second they get back to Citizens Bank Park? Or are you like me, where you are disgusted over 24 hours, but when they play again at 9:40 here on Tuesday night, they get a chance to have revenge. They get a chance to do some damage. And what sucks is I thought the team actually competed when they're down 3-0 and it looked like things were going to settle in. They had an outrageous comeback. Kyle Schwarber, lefty, Blake Snell, fucking piss missile to the water. What should have been to the water. I don't know how it didn't reach the water, but that thing was crucified. I actually had to do leading off prior to the game as I filled in for Ike, Spike, and Fritz on the afternoon show, and my player to watch for was Kyle Schwarber because his splits are outrageous. He's hitting over 300 against lefties. He's hitting under 200 against righties, which is just absurd. More power against righties than lefties, which makes sense, but the guys do. We're inching our way closer to June. We know what happens when June hits. We know what happens when the calendar flips, so he's just starting to to get that sense of urgency now that it's late May. He's getting ready, so I thought that he would be my player to watch for, and that paid off dividends because that was extreme. And then you get Edmundo Sosa with the triple. You get Rojas fighting off a fastball that I didn't know if he could do. Normally he gets blown away. I've seen him be overpowered, and then he ends up fighting off a fastball. He gets challenged. He puts a bleeder into the outfield, which scored a run. So I thought that was extremely important. The Rojas thing is fascinating because I understand the frustration, no doubt about it, but he does just enough. That's what it is. I came to the conclusion that whenever you count him out, whenever you feel you've seen enough, whenever you get bothered by poor play in the outfield or not having that elite defensive awareness that we were told he had, he'd get on base and he'd take second base, or he scores from first base with a double into the gap that no one else on this team gets to home plate with that speed that he had. No one else scores but him. He'll score first to home, or he'll steal it back, or he'll be in the front of Kyle Schwarber with a double steal. Schwarbs takes second. Rojas goes from second to third. Unfortunately, the Phillies weren't able to pounce to get more runs across home plate, and that maybe could have paid off dividends too to really hit the Giants in the jugular. But Taijuan Walker wasn't good enough. And yeah, it's annoying because this is the same guy that was on Twitter mad at Rob Thompson for not playing him in the postseason. Yo, bro, the reason why you weren't played in the postseason is because you were getting shelled. So I gave him a lot of recognition in his first 3 starts when he goes really good, or it goes really good for him through 6 innings of very reasonable ball. Some of those starts, the numbers look inflated because when he went to the 7th, it wasn't sharp. But through 6, you're talking about a really premier level of start, and that's all great and dandy. And I said, if you could put that behind you, whatever the debacle was and the frustration was with Rob Thompson, and you can go out and shove and prove your worth and say, hey, Rob, this is why I felt the way I did, because I'm capable of giving us quality starts nonstop. I recognize that and give you a nice golf clap and a round of applause for going out there and showing your worth. But when it is then followed by bad starts, getting hit in the foot, leaving a game, not that that's your fault by any means, but things just have not been crisp, essentially. And Rob Thompson is loved a lot by that entire clubhouse. I almost wonder when things start to go south for Taijuan Walker, we talk about how great of a clubhouse this is. We talk about vibes and Garrett Stubbs and his ability to be, the vibe leader. Well, is Taijuan Walker the exact opposite? Because they disrespected such a prominent figure in that clubhouse. Rob could do no wrong, man. They love that guy to death. They love Rob Thompson more than they love their own family, with the way that he's got that killer mentality and the way that he stands for all of them and believes in all of them publicly. He's just an A-plus guy, and they clearly have a connection that is super strong. That bond is real. Well, Taijuan Walker essentially spit in that guy's face. So I wonder if the bad vibe detector goes up when people walk down the beaches and you get the monitor, the beep, 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 and someone's digging for gold, trying to find something. The vibe meter. I don't know if it's going off for Taijuan Walker and the rest of the crew. So it sucks, man. It sucks. There's also talk about Nick and the frustration with him and what should the Phillies do and how should they handle things. I don't know if they really have the answer. I don't know if removing Nick Castellanos and putting in Pache, when you put in utility players more, and I know Edmundo Sosa is going on an absolute tear, but I don't think that Christian Pache gets slotted into Nick Castellanos' role and starts smacking around 319 with 4 triples the way that Edmundo Sosa is. I'm riding the hot wave with Sosa for sure, but I don't think that that's the norm, where we probably get aggravated with Pache because the more you expose utility weapons, more times than not, you see why they're not everyday players, right? And this Nick thing does bother me without a doubt, but sometimes you just have to read the room, and I'll give a lot of credit to Dave Dombrowski and really Rob Thompson in this regard too, that when Trey Turner was struggling last year, I thought you you had to read the room and pretty much acknowledge that he needs time off. He needs to sit down. He seems to be overmatched and overpowered. Well, you got to manage each player differently. Just like with coaching in other sports. You treat A.J. Brown differently than you treat Malcolm Jenkins. You treat Jason Kelce differently than you treat Cam Jurgens. You treat Jalen Hurts differently than you treat Darius Slay. You treat James Bradbury different than you treat Eli Ricks. It's just how it goes. And I'm not talking about because of their stature in the league. I'm just talking about personalities. Some players you can push harder. Some players you have to have that soft baby hands type of attempt with it. And with Nick Castellanos, I just think the guy is one of those that for him to be, you just keep playing him. You just keep playing him. I don't think that works with Trey. I don't think that works with other guys. Sometimes Kyle Schwarber, maybe he's beat up, maybe, but I think others, I guess physical is different than mental or whatnot. But I'm just saying when you're mentally beat up and you're mentally in a slump and when you're actually getting aggravated from a mental spot, it's different than a physical because, well, there's actually physical reasons on why you're not able to execute. So it's not the same as maybe a Kyle Schwarber playing too much left field like we've seen in years past that took a toll on his body. But, I do think that with the Nick thing, it makes the most sense. And Pat Shea isn't going to give you anything overwhelming to the point where Nick might. He might hit a home run. He's not hitting a home run as much as I would prefer, but he might hit a home run. And from that aspect, I think the ceiling is higher than anything that Pat Shea can give you on a night-to-night basis, even with the struggles of Nick Castellanos. So, yeah, it's a weird spot for me because I know and I'm aware that you got to give them wiggle room after this start, but does it need to be this ugly? Does it have to be this atrocious? Does it need to be that disgusting on the defensive side of the ball? Can't you just lose normal? Can't it just be a game where it's not your day, but it doesn't have to be where Alec Bohm can't get in front of the ball or it looks little league-ish, right? By no means am I expecting a 720, 730 win rate for the entire 162 because that's unfair. But I do expect you to be professional at the job. You can lose in a professional way. I thought the Rockies series was, it was bonkers. Game 1, Jose Alvarado in the 9th, and nobody is Stallings in a home run. What are we doing here in the 9th? No outs. Come on. One more out you needed. Excuse me. Come on. How does that happen? Kicking Bryce out of the game. JT's check swing. It was bonkers. Then the second game was pretty bizarre, too. It was the Garrett Stubbs game. He's manufacturing runs alone. Bryce Harper late, so you snag one from the Rockies. Game 3, just one of those. It was just a sort of a dead game. Offense was trying to do too much. Maybe it was the thin air. I don't know. Maybe they thought that they could just walk in and dominate because the Rockies stink and because they're so good at hitting that the second they made contact with the ball, they thought it would essentially fly over the wall. Maybe there's something to do with that. But the Rockies series loss was one that I could live with. This game against San Francisco, it bothered me the way that it played out from a Walker aspect and from an error standpoint as well. But yeah, the Walker thing, I don't know why Rob. Okay, if you express that it's so important to have a fresh bullpen from your starter going 6 the game before, like he did with Ranger, you don't have to get 100 pitches from Walker. They almost use Walker as, all right, he's throwing 95 and we live with the results. Not 95 miles per hour. No. Oh, trust me, no. It's 91, it's 90, it's low 90s. I'm talking 95 pitches. They just look at a pitch count with him for whatever reason and say, if it's 7 runs, fine. If it's 2 runs, fine. If it's 4 runs, fine. And we'll go from there. He's a 5th starter. He's a 5th starter. That's not the job. If it's a 4th inning inning performance, fine. If you're 1, 2, and 3 can go 6+, can go 7, can be a force, then you can utilize some of your bullpen pieces to help out your fifth starter. Forget the name for a second. Forget the contract. Any fifth starter, if they go 4, they're not going to go 7. They're not going to go 6 consistently. They are a fifth starter. That's what they do. They struggle sometimes. They have poor performances. If your top of your rotation sets up your pen to succeed for when your starters do need help, use them, Rob. Use them. Go to someone. Go to Strom. Ask Strom to give you 2 innings to go from 4 to 6. Then let's figure out what you're going to do in the 7, 8, 9. Go pick apart Gregory Soto. Go ask Hoffman. Go do something. But what you can't do is just expect Walker to be fine. I think he has a tell. I do. I think he has a tell on when he's getting squared up. Ball was getting hit hard. He was leaving meatballs all over the plate. All over the plate. And even when he settled down for a second, there were too many hits, too many singles. Look, Christopher Sanchez has done enough for me to know that I could work around. His stat line will be 6 2/3, 19 hits, 4 walks, somehow 90 pitches, which makes no sense, and 2 earned runs. I give him some more wiggle room than Walker right now, but Walker doesn't deserve that as we sit here today. So I know that I haven't been a big hater of Walker, and I do still think it's extreme. I mean, people treat him like he's a piece of trash as a human, and I think they take it personal for whatever reason. I mean, I don't like the fact that he handled last year's postseason the way that he did, and I think that is somewhat of a personality flaw for a locker room and a clubhouse, and I think he needs to look in the mirror, but I do think that people take it to an extreme level, if I'm being honest. But I'm not happy with his performance, right? Like, I mean, this is ridiculous now. Come on. You have to be significantly better. Not just better, significantly better. Okay, so before we rock anytime hotline calls, let's take a listen to Alec Bohm. This is courtesy of NBC Sports Philadelphia in the postgame, talking about maybe some of the sloppy stuff that he dealt with and how he projects to deal with that moving forward and how he can somewhat maybe improve from those issues. Let's take a listen.
No, I'm not going to just go panic and go take a bunch of ground balls for no reason. I missed a couple balls, I didn't make a play, and, that's just what it is. I mean, it's a hard game. It'll humble you, so just get back to it tomorrow. I mean, if you're one that believes in slumps and all that, I mean, it's just, the game's hard. It is what it is. So, I mean, there's going to be times where plays you normally make, you don't make, and that's just a game. I mean, you play 162 games, there's going to be days where you just straight up suck. Everybody's human. Nobody's immune to it. So, I mean, I think it's just forgetting about it is the best route.
No, he kept it honest. He kept it 100. He said, look, sometimes you just suck out there. We play a lot of baseball games, and I got a couple different things here, a couple different angles. I'm a little split on this, but from a couple different ways I'm split on this as well. So really a lot to peel back here. I'll take it from this angle first. As a fan base, as a fan myself, I like to react daily. I don't like to. When it's bad, it's very shitty. But when it's good, it's really great. But I like to ride the emotional ride, right? I've been on the record saying that before. But I do think that you can allow things to impact you more and longer as a fan. So players putting things behind them, it's the cornerback theory. If you're getting beat by A.J. Brown on the first play of the game, there's 3 fucking quarters to go. 3 quarters and 14 minutes to go. You got a whole game to go. You got to put that behind you because you got to lock up A.J. Brown the rest of the way, or at least attempt to. You're going to be beat, but you have to have a quick thought process and a quick trigger on forgetting things, because if you don't, it's going to be a long day at the office, right? So baseball players have so many at-bats. They have so many ground balls their way. They play so many games. I don't want them harping on it the way that I do. I feel we can, as a fan base, as a city, City, I give myself, when it comes to regular season, like I said, 24 hours. When do they play next? All right, when they play next, I'll see how they play, and then that will adjust my reaction accordingly. I'll react accordingly, and that can change perception a little bit. So I give it a 24-hour rule, or if they have an off day like they do this week on Thursday, if they play Wednesday, that's going to sit, and I'll have that marinate until Friday. But if the players want a fresh perspective and flush it down the toilet instantly, then by all means, I'm cool with that. I actually prefer that. Kyle Schwarber has been a big proponent of that, and that's why he's so beloved in the clubhouse, because he knows, he gets it. He's a winner. He's been through the grind, and he understands what it's like. So I got no issue at all with that. I do wonder, though, with this. Some things you could play the long game with in this regard. You could be doing a lot of things right at the plate, but maybe not getting the results you're looking for. Squaring up the ball, great defensive plays are robbing you. Maybe you're working on pulling the ball, chase rate. You like where your numbers are with the chase rate. It's going down, but maybe it's not leading yet to all the stats that you want with your batting average. Like, you could be taking the proper steps, maybe not getting the proper results, but over 162, you'll be good. Now, to Alec Bohm's credit, he's been a magnificent defender this season and has turned it around insanely, to the point where I once wondered if he could ever be a good defender. Now I know he is a good defender, just playing poorly, and that's why it's almost more upsetting, because I know he's capable of being super fresh over there at third, and he just hasn't done it. But I guess my point is, where I think that he's a little wrong is, I like how he played today, the technical side of how he's handling ground ball. You can't take that approach to ground balls, not getting in front of it, trying to make a play, flashing the leather to the left side of your body. Like, that won't work. So it's either a lack of focus or just fundamentally flawed. If your fundamentals aren't where they need to be, it's not like your recipe or the steps you're taking to the finishing product is proper. Now, maybe he feels that he's put so much work into his craft defensively that it's not going to occur. That mishap of trying to make a play to his left, like, that's just out of the norm. If that ground ball happens again, he will get in front of it more times than not, because of his work with Bobby Dickerson, because of the effort that they're putting in with the infield coach, and just their ability to take ground balls nonstop and really incorporate a stronger defensive structure to his game. That's going to take over organically, that it's not going to be a problem. Maybe that's the case, but I almost look at it as, well, sometimes you can have a lack of focus. Sometimes you can have lack of technique, lack of fundamentals, and if that's creeping into his game, that needs, like, you actually have to change that part, or else those errors will continue. I hope that makes sense. It makes sense to me, but I'm just probably nitpicking, right? I think that maybe I'm going a little too extreme there. His overall view of, we play a lot of games, we play 162, I'm not going to panic, I trust myself in the work that I put in. I'm cool with it. I'm just maybe looking at everything here. That's all. I'm just taking a look at everything. All right, let's go to the Anytime Hotline. Take your calls, your reaction to a loss out in San Francisco. That place is a kryptonite, man. They can't win in that place. I get PTSD looking at how much field is in the outfield. I feel like there's doubles in the gap and triples going on. It's like, what are we doing here? Ball's getting tattooed. I did think Edmundo Sosa had a chance to go yard, though. I did. That was a hell of a swing. Triple instead, though. I mean, come on, man. This guy's a machine. All right, let's take your calls.
All right, listen, I know that we're entitled to a couple, like, stinkers in, like, you know, losing series or bad games or whatnot, but, like, I'm not more upset at the damn team, how they're performing with, like, errors and shit like that. I don't care about that right now as much, because, you know, it hasn't happened all year. But I swear to God, I hate Taijuan Walker's contract. I know that you say that he gives us a lot of innings and whatever. I don't care how many fucking innings he gives us.
Well, that does matter. I mean, 175 innings that he gave you last year, that is a lot of innings. I mean, that is a lot of innings. I'm probably not going to defend Taijuan a lot today, But, when you say I don't care, it's sort of like that Aaron Nola hater that says, I don't care if he only gives up 2 earned runs. Well, I sure do. I don't know why you don't. I sure do. 2 earned runs. If you're only allowing 2 earned runs in a start, that's a damn good start. So I feel similar to that, where you say you don't care how many innings he eats. When it's 175 over an entire journey, it's a lot of innings to eat. That's a lot to make up. It's hard to just make that up, especially with someone like Spencer Turnbull, who has never eaten that much. I just want to give you an example, right? And I'll let you continue, but just to put it in perspective, and I would be okay with going to Spencer Turnbull. I got a feeling I'm going to end up sounding like the biggest Taijuan Walker supporter in the history of the world here. But if you look at the most that Spencer Turnbull has ever thrown in innings, in 2019, so 5 years ago, when he was 3-17 with the Detroit Tigers, he pitched 148 innings. So I know win-loss isn't the biggest stat in the world, but he had the most losses in the league that year at 3-17. He had the most hit batters, by the way, too. So just an extreme difference of win-loss record for his different offenses. Like, by no means was that Tigers team what this Phillies team is. I understand, but 148 innings was his most. Since then, it's been 50, 56, 31, and so far with the Phillies, 40. And in his first year ever, which didn't seem like he had many starts, he had 3 started games, he threw 16. It's a lot to ask of someone who hasn't really done it to that level. But I continue. All I'm saying is I do value 170-plus innings. That's all my point is. No matter who the person is we're talking about. I don't care who the person is. Forget the person. The innings I do value, because that is a lot.
The problem is every time that he comes out, it's a 6 fucking earned run effort that he gives us. Yes, he pitches us into the 6th or 7th inning, but he gives up 6 runs.
But that's not true. See, I knew this was going to happen. So, look, they've played 6 games so far with Taijuan Walker. He's got a 3-1 record, right? Let's expand this so I can see better. Oh, man, am I getting old? I got to hit Command plus so I can see better. So this is the first game, April 28th, that he pitched against the San Diego Padres. All right, 6 1/3. 6 earned runs. The 7th inning wasn't good. They won 8-6. He got the win. Fair enough. They beat the San Francisco Giants 6 1/3, 3 earned runs, 7 strikeouts. 6 1/3, 3 earned runs. That's good baseball. The next start, May 11th against Miami, they won 8-3. He became 3-0 on the season. 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run. So 6 inning, 1 earned run, 6 1/3, 3 earned run. It's not every time he goes out, it's 8 earned run. Now, against the Mets, it wasn't good. In 3 1/3, he allowed 2 earned runs. He ended up leaving the game. I think that was the game where he got drilled in the foot. Against Texas, wasn't good. He allowed 3 earned runs. Not 8, not 6. 3 earned runs. They won 11-4. So they did beat the Rangers. He allowed 3 earned runs. They won 11-4. He got yanked in the 5th. I'm just saying. I get it. I'm not a big fan of him. I feel like people take it one step too far. So then I pull it back a bit and say, well, it's not as bad as what you're saying. It's bad. It's not as bad. And then it comes off as he's a hater. I just think he's like and I get it. It's not fun. It's not fun. He's annoying. But I feel he's the whipping boy. Like, if he went 8 innings, 1 earned run, someone would complain that he allowed the 1 earned run. It's almost like he can never do anything right. So when he does do things that are serviceable and fine, who cares? He had 3 bad starts. Yeah, but he had 3 good starts. That's all. I sound like the biggest Taijuan. Do I have a Taijuan Walker tattoo? I'm sure that's going to be in the comments, but I'll let you continue. Go ahead, get the frustration out.
And, yeah, I know we have the best, or, some of the best, one of the best offenses in baseball, but the problem is that we can't put up 6 runs a game. Every time Taijuan Walker comes up on every 5th day, I just know it's almost a guaranteed loss, because every time he pitches, it's shitty.
But they win. I know it doesn't make sense, but when he takes the mound, actually, I'm just saying statistically speaking, It's not like you see what I'm saying? I know I don't want him to keep pitching. I think the Phillies should look at the 5th starter spot. I do. I truly think that they should look at this and maybe have some tough conversation. I'm on board with looking at potential change. They probably never will because of the money, and they show faith and belief in a lot of their guys. So I think we have all the same result. I would like to have Dave Dombrowski think about this and wonder what we could do. I'm not the biggest Walker fan in the world, but you say I just know they're going to lose but they don't, which is the weirdest part of it all. And it's not all because of him. He's 3-1 this year. I'm just saying. I know. I get it. This is terrible. I'm a horrible person.
Like, I don't know. I hate this contract. I really hate the fact that, like, Taijuan Walker, was basically liking everyone's, what do they call tweets? Yeah, liking everyone's tweets about him not pitching in the playoffs. This is why. Every time that he comes up, it's a fucking loss.
Well, it's not. I know. All right, I appreciate your phone call, though. I'm going to look this up because I know Bob Wankel had it, and I gave you this before, but I'm just trying to tell you it's not a loss every single time. So it was, here we go. Oh, my God, looking at some of these starts back from 2023. Taijuan Walker's last 5 starts. This was June 30th, 2023. 5-0 with an 0.84 ERA. Only 3 earned runs allowed in 32 pitches. And 32 innings pitched, sorry. 32 strikeouts, 1 home run allowed. An 0.84 whip. That's pretty crazy. Oh, man. Yeah, Mets fans tried telling us. And we decided to say, no. But we probably should have went, yes. Oh, that's why it won't pop up. I typed in Bib Wankel. His name's Bob Wankel. So, this was May 11th. Taijuan Walker is 18-6 with the Phillies. And 24-10 is the Phillies' record. So not his win-loss, but 24-10 in 34 career starts with the Phillies on May 11th, 2024. Now, maybe those numbers get to the norm. All right, I wouldn't be surprised because he's not pitching well. But take it for what it is, I guess, is my point. I don't like Taijuan Walker, even though you'd think he's my cousin with the last 5 minutes of content. All right, let's take a listen to Sean here.
Yep, they're in a team slump. They haven't been the same since they left Philadelphia. I don't know where the bats are, but to me, this game, despite everything that happened, changed on one critical play, and that was JT Realmuto on a 3-2 pitch with Snell on the ropes and second and third, swinging at a ball 10 feet over his head.
Yeah.
The Giants won that game once they were able to get Snell out of there because the Phillies didn't lay a bat on any of their relievers. Just no offense, no defense, and as usual, no pitching from Taijuan Walker. You're not going to get away with this guy throwing 90-mile-an-hour lollipops to major league hitters.
Agreed.
I'm sorry. I don't care how much money he makes. You cannot justify taking him out of the rotation and not putting Turnbull back in. Turnbull has been average since they put him in the pen. He can't get used to that role. Put him back as a starter and either put Walker in the pen to use as a mop-up reliever or get him the hell off the team entirely.
Well, that's not going to happen. But I did have that same thought process of, what if you flip-flop Turnbull and Walker? And maybe if you got, like I said, if let's say Turnbull goes 4 innings because he's your 5th starter, right? And you need someone. Could Walker give you 2 innings to get you to 6? Now, probably not. If I'm being transparent, probably not. But as I alluded to, I did have the thought process of, is it time to flip-flop those and see if it can work, because this is getting uncomfortable. It's getting uncomfortable. So I feel similar in regards to the result of, we got to think about this and talk about things. I guess if everybody's at a 15 on a scale 1 to 10 with Walker, I'm at a 7.5. Is that fair? I think that's a good way to label it so you can kind of see it in a different way. Maybe that's where I'm at. I'm at an 8. I'm at an 8 out of 10. Everyone else is at a 15. I'm at an 8. Because I do look at the 24 and 10 through. But I think it's also excellent that you bring up there, Sean, of the velocity. Because if you are going to be a low 90 guy, you got to have savviness. You got to have some nasty bite. That splitter is getting scorched. I saw a stat that his splitter is getting pretty much crushed at a 500 clip here of a batting average. Well, come on, man. You ain't going to win like that. So he's not Aaron Nola. He doesn't have that in his bag. You got to throw mid-90s if you're Walker and live with it there. But low 90s, it's a different ball game for sure. So that's a problem. But all right, everybody, thank you all so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. Maybe I'll get sleep. Maybe not. Don't know. We'll find out. Love you guys to death. I'll catch you on the next one.